upon Professor Rajat Bhattacharya from Department of Philosophy, Bardhaman University, West Bengal, for Professor Ganesh Prasad Das lecture on intercultural and interreligious understanding. Now, in the meantime, I would request Professor Sachidanand Misra sir to facilitate Professor Rajat Bhattacharya with a book which is on Bharatiya Sanskriti, Bharatiya Sanskriti and Gyan Parampara, awarded by Government of Uttar Pradesh and Government of Madhya Pradesh. Our Honorable Vice Chancellor, Professor Rajneesh Kumar Shukla sir. Thank you, sir.
Respected dignitaries up and down the dais. Actually, it's a great privilege to deliver a lecture at the platform of IPC. And in my lecture, which I prepared in the PowerPoint mode, today, since it is in a different order presented, there also I jotted it down, and it will be there in my writings, that I acknowledge with thanks and gratitude, and literally I bow down to IPC for this. Now, I would prefer to read out, although my students and friends know that I prefer speeches than reading out from any text. Why I shall prefer reading out from text? The reason are two. Number one, it is controversial, and number two, the time paucity. So, keeping in view these two, I will confine the general discussion on a written form to be read out here. Sometimes I will skip also from my writings, and you will not know what I skipped and what not. So let me begin with. Only one thing that I like to mention, that I shall not be in a position to show the models that I have prepared, which I could display on the PowerPoint, and then it could be very easy for me to explain what I like to say in a short span of time. However, I will try to mention one or two models so that I can come to a conclusion. Vasudhaiva Kutumbakam. Literally, all the inhabitants of the increasingly independent world that includes great culture, ethnic, racial, local, national, religious, and linguistic diversity are necessarily the relatives of one another, and it is imperative that the ways to come together as a human family, honoring and respecting the commonly adjustable diversities, have to be worked out relentlessly to ensure global peace and harmony. That the process has to be continued, it cannot be stopped. That is the pain. Professor Ganesh Prasad Das's noble act of introducing an endowment lecture on intercultural and interreligious understanding at the great platform of Indian Philosophical Congress is really a commendable addition to such an essential task. And I bow down, as I said, to IPC for giving me the chance. Intercultural and interreligious communication needed to resolve and prevent conflicts on religious and cultural issues. we are actually in a state of conflict always, in different forms. If we can speak from the point of view of business, then we'll find from politics, from economy, what not, from language. So it's a very serious problem. It cannot be said, therefore, that conflicts on religious and cultural issues is a past event. Nor can it be said that such conflicts will gradually vanish with the elapsing of time. Only honest and deliberate human intervention usually resolves and is expected to resolve many conflicts. Is expected to resolve, I don't know whether it will be resolved at any point of time or not. An honest attempt for intercultural and interreligious communication opens up numerous ways to understand the diversities and their roots in positive ways to increase better understanding among people of different faith systems and cultures. By faith systems, I mean the so-called religious formations, organizations, or religions in the ordinary sense of the term. Now, thereby, it enriches the quality of the global human lives, reducing occurrences and chances of conflict. Need for interreligious and intercultural understanding. Any human intervention on conflicts on interreligious or intercultural issues needs to be based on proper understanding of others, that means other people's culture, negotiating style, their negotiating styles, and various aspects of other religions and cultures. It is very difficult to understand the other mind because we have to infer the events occurring in other mind, and inference seldom, or rather I can say at least sometimes, turn out to be failed or successful. Another part is communication, that I will come later on. This will prevent unnecessary antagonism arising from misinterpretation of other people's behavior, which can exacerbate the already existing conflicts. Sometimes translation, interpretation, etc. also cause serious damage to cultural and religious harmony. Attempts should be made to sort out the positive approaches for developing interreligious and intercultural understanding that may pertain to creating more peaceful future. We are at a peaceful present. What we understand, absence of war is there in most of the parts of the globe, but still we hope that there will be a peaceful future. Intercultural and interreligious understanding prevent misinterpretation of others' faith and culture. It is the question of misunderstanding and misinterpretation. In fact, absence of intercultural and interreligious communication nourishes bad faith and gives rise to misunderstanding of others' views, faiths, cultures, and behaviors. If one's door is remain closed, then nothing will enter. In that case also, the damages occur. On the contrary, positive attempts to resolve the conflicting issues and to understand other people's behavior, cultures, religions prevent unnecessary misinterpretations of others' behaviors, faith, and culture. Increasing number of optimum successful intercultural and interreligious communications provide important tools to understand the diversities, their roots, and meeting points in more positive ways. It would be very convenient for me if I could mention in clear instantiation where lies actually the difficulties. Naming specific countries, specific organizations and others, but it is not customary and not even healthy to mention all these. This in turn increase people-to-people contact-based understanding that not only reduces the scopes for violence and war, but also enriches the quality of lives. Even has sorted out certain problems by jotting down some pros and cons, not any specific way to resolve, not any specific principle to resolve. Whatever principle is taken, these act like policies, not as principles in actual term. Unfortunately, the world is now under nuclear power-threatened terrorism of various types. It is therefore imperative to find ways to live together peacefully and comfortably as a global human family by properly understanding and respecting the diversity of socio-cultural and religious identity of fellow human beings. Failure may lead to devastation. No one can live now and also in future in isolation. At this threshold of new era in human history, we are now given to live in a global community. All our behaviors, communications, trades, relations, security, and environmental dilemmas make us increasingly interdependent. No one can live now in isolation, whether we like it or not. The vast and diverse human family must learn to live together. It sounds very easy, but it is the main disease that we don't like to accept. We are left with no alternative but to assume a greater sense of universal responsibility, both individually and collectively. Intercultural communication and interreligious communication, intercultural understanding. Now it is, I read it again, intercultural communication and intercultural understanding. Intercultural communication and intercultural understanding are complementary to each other. Success in intercultural communication upgrades intercultural understanding. Unless there is understanding, there shall be no communication. High order intercultural understanding reduces the chances of miscommunication and hence reduces and increases the success or failure rate of intercultural communication. Now I shall speak a few words on communication, which I did not write. There was a big blunder committed by the Japanese army at the Second World War. A decision was taken by Japanese cabinet named Makusatsu. Makusatsu is a combination of two words, Maku and Satsu. It means two things. One, fight till death, or another, no comment at this moment. Now, when the cabinet decision was passed over to the generals, they are the fighters, they understood it to be fight till death. The war was intensified and it resulted into the nuclear damage that caused the entire community, human community all over the world. Had they took the second meaning as the actual meaning, possibly this could have been averted. So communication is a very serious matter, be it intercultural, be it interreligious, be it intracultural and interreligious. At whatever space, it creates a great problem. Some people think that communication at all is not possible. Some people think that it is possible. But they caution us how to make the communication possible. So I made a lot of research work on this subject, and I found that the Western theories of communication, these cannot give us the, somehow lead us to the perfection or nearer to perfection. But if we study the Indian concept of communication, especially the Sankhya concept of communication, the Kapila's theory of communication that I could not display owing to the absence of the PowerPoint presentation system. So this can actually explain how we can be successful communicating certain things to others, but still the other part may not be agreed. That is a different thing. Even if I remain successful in communicating something, the other part still, out of bad faith, may reject this and may not respond to this. And here lies the obviousness of conflict, and that has to be resolved by dialogues in future. Then there will be a need for some sort of, say, working collaboration, working understanding, working processing, and this sort of things we will be needing. Now we come to the second part, intercultural communication and intercultural understanding. That we have said, from misunderstanding follows misinterpretation. This is obvious. Misunderstanding gives misinterpretation. And religious communication, interreligious understanding, religious communication sometimes overpower the interreligious understanding if it is based on some sort of limitations in the understanding of the text or limitations on the text themselves. Let me take some examples so that I can come to some position at least. If it is a faith system that 50% of human communication, human community present in the world are not human. Say, we the people mean we the human beings, male and female, and of different countries, different colors, creeds, race, etc. Suppose that 50% are not human, if this is the basic point of a faith system. And out of the first 50% who are human, some are not at all having any moral right and religious right to be considered as having intrinsic value. In that case, the problem is very critical. The problem is very critical, but people have to communicate with these sort of things, and somehow we have to distinguish between the faith system and the people of the faith system. If we can address this area, faith system and the people of the faith system, got it? People of the faith system, then we can come down to resolving the issue. Because from a greater faith system, which claims, another thing I like to mention, some people have tried to overcome these issues by taking only the good faith propositions and making a super religion structure or a super cultural structure. But this does not work. Literally it does not work, because faith system is faith system. What is faith? That is also a different question. Faith of an individual and faith of a faith system, these are two different things. Faith of a faith is ascribed, and the faith of an individual is within. So these are the critical matters which it is too difficult to address in a single lecture. However, I like to abruptly finish my lecture because ayam arambho shubhaya bhavatu. Thank you very much.
Thank you, sir. Thank you once again for your scholarly article and your presentation address. You have enriched us and you told us like how to keep perpetual peace in the society, and you have also focused on the need of proper communication to maintain harmony in the society. Thank you, sir. Now I would like to